Alright, good afternoon, happy Thursday, everybody who's tuning in. This is me just kind of picking up where I left off. I tried to stream last night. I was working on Jake Parker's Inktober along with Monster Garden's Trenchtober, and I was having a few streaming difficulties in the last video, so this one should be up to where it needs to be, up to par, and what I'm going to do is kind of work on finishing up this character that I was working on last time and just kind of breathing him some life into this line work and all of that to kind of help finish up, Inktober Day 3 while still kind of keeping the challenge moving along. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Amir. I am the creator of Creative Animist, my YouTube channel, where I talk about world building. I talk about world building for my project, which is known as Kinix. It is a novel that I'm writing and illustrating. And right now, what I'm doing is I am fusing in elements that belong to this October challenge called Inktober. We're given different prompts to where we need to illustrate artwork that kind of fits what it is, that the prompts are asking for. And I'm kind of putting my own unique twist on it. I'm doing that, but I'm also working on trying to fit in each character into my world building project as it exists today and as it's continuing to grow. So this is really impromptu. I've got these Faber-Castell markers that I'm going to use to continue working on this, and really I'm just going to jump in because I can't wait to finish up this design. So that's what's going on, and for the prompts that I am working on completing for this particular ink drawing, those include two things, because I'm kind of combining, like I said, Inktober and Trenchtober for this one. And those prompts are boot along with dwarf. And this is my interpretation of a dwarf, or one variant of a dwarf, in my story's universe, in my world building project's kind of landscape. And so this here is a species of human that takes on some animal-like traits depending on which tribe we're talking about, which region and location. And this one is actually borrowing some traits from shrimp and crustaceans and all of those kind of fun aquatic critters that you would kind of come across in real life. But I'm putting on a few twists with this, really just in the sense that I'm also making it into a dwarf. So yeah, that is the gist. And Devon, welcome to the chat. I am doing an impromptu stream because, dude, I'm a little behind on Inktober. Like, technically speaking, I'm not. Technically, I'm right on time for today. Today's prompt is boot, as we can see here. But, dude, I need to make videos. I need to make some more content, and so being right here, like on the cuff of when things are due, is just a little too close for comfort for me. And so that's why I'm basically streaming right now. It's a nice little lunchtime stream, so to speak. So yeah, that's what's going on. And this is also kind of meant to be a redux of what happened yesterday. I was streaming yesterday, and oh my god, yeah, the frame rate was so freaking bad. So for those of you who are watching this, this is basically what you guys couldn't see, because it was moving at 5 FPS per second, or whatever it was. So hopefully this gives some detail as to what it is that I was talking about yesterday. And it's kind of a bit of a coincidence. I noticed that not Jake Parker, I'm sorry, I think it was actually Monster Garden. Monster Garden was doing the prompt as well today, and I saw that he was also referencing lobsters for his thing, and I was like, how is this possible? It's really funny actually. So I guess we're both doing crustacean themed things, but technically, I started mine yesterday, which is kind of nice to know. So people are like, hey, Monster Garden already started doing lobster people. I'm gonna say, well, I came up with this 24 hours before he came up with his. All in good fun though. So for anybody watching still, what I'd like you to do for me, which would be a huge favor, would be to let me know if the video quality, if the frame rate and everything else is actually coming through okay. Because I think it is. I ran a few tests before getting this stream booted up today, a few minutes ago I mean, and I just want to be sure because I'm kind of also dealing with a little bit of PTSD from yesterday's stream. Talking for 2 hours and looking back and seeing that the audio, not the audio, but the video came out as garbage is not. It's not typically my MO. And yeah, Devon, I was asking you if you were remote because I wanted to see if you could actually help me test that one thing I was just talking about. So I wasn't sure if you were or not, but that's literally it, nothing else. No big fires to put out. And thanks, by the way. Yeah, what I was talking about kind of at the beginning of the stream was that the inspiration for this guy actually is coming from crustaceans, right? So this horn is actually meant to be kind of like his nose. It's inspired by a shrimp. This is actually a really short dude, as you can see. But yeah, that horn is kind of a shrimp head appendage type of piece. And take your time checking the other one. I think you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. So that'll be a surprise. And this drawing, this inking is almost done for this character. So it's coming to a good spot. And this is really meant to just kind of complete that process for today. Yeah, glad to know, man. I'm very glad to know. Yeah, the frame rate was rough. Super rough on that last video. So, yeah, hopefully this one maintains. I had to make a lot of changes in OBS. I am outputting at a good 30 FPS instead of 60, which it was supposedly outputting at before. And yeah, some other things. So hopefully this kind of helps to solve the issue. We're gonna see. And you know what, guys, I was just thinking, for everybody who's watching in, or who's tuning in, what I want to do is eventually take a break. I say a break, but I want to show you guys how the kind of final product came out for the piece for Discovery, or for Discover, I mean. That's something that I think is going to be really important to share, just to try to give you guys a good visual as to what this landscape looks like that we're going to see these characters, these species of Novo and, other people in, not only in the book, but in the next video that I release as well, too. So, when I'm talking about videos, I'm really talking about, the kind of hand-curated content that I've been releasing. So the next video is going to be a little bit more about lore and, again, more world-building stuff that you guys are familiar with, that you all enjoy when it comes to the mini realms of Animus that I'm describing in the channel. So what I'm doing right now is I am adding some more boldness to these outer lines here. This is really just meant to, communicate that kind of detail in a way that's not only eye-catching, but that's also you know, very easy to kind of memorize when you're looking at this visual language. There are some areas that will be less prominent than others, and that's completely intentional, especially when it comes to the outer line work. And so that's what's going on here. Same thing for this side. And I want to talk a bit about the character that I'm drawing here. This is just, you know, a kind of example of one of the Novo kind of variants that will exist within this water magic region that I'm going to talk about later. But yeah, he's just a merchant. He is a dwarf merchant, and he's selling boots. He's selling boots, he's selling potions, and a bunch of things on the street. And so when you come across him, he's, you know, got like things to tell you, things to say to you, but his mustache is so thick and, you know, kind of so in his face that when he's talking, you just hear this muffling, this type of, you know, attempt when he's trying to communicate with you. So you don't always know what he's saying, but he's always got something good in his wares to supply. I'm working on putting on these grips onto the boots right now. And you know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know, Devon. I kind of do prefer drawing in my lap at times. I think I'm used to it to a certain extent. But also for streaming, it does make it a bit easier for my setup. And so it's kind of a convenient, like, best of both worlds situation, I would say. That's what we're kind of looking at with this. How about you? Like, I know that you don't do as much drawing sometimes as you do with, you know, voice acting and kind of practice for all of that, but when you sketch, do you prefer drawing on your lap or something else? And why? Alright, so this boot is coming along. It's almost done. Make sure that I'm putting some detail like right here to show just kind of like the finite depth of the inside of the boot stops. Yeah, and on the topic of neck and shoulders hurting after a while, that's why I am stretching periodically. Depending on like how hunched over you are versus, you know, how like more relaxed you are in the stance, it could be a little bit more, yeah, like natural or inconvenient. I try not to do this for too long, but yeah, like I very well may need to get something just to like elevate this a bit, readjust my camera, and see what can be done that way. But so far this is getting the job done, but yeah, I definitely will probably change my posture with this at some point. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm switching over to a regular pencil just to map out some of these grips. I want to make sure that I get everything in kind of the way how I expect it to before putting in the permanent ink on this. And this is good enough. This outline that I've got right there is, yeah, enough. And dude, yes, I do need a chiropractor. I need a chiropractor. I would love a chiropractor. Hopefully in a few days, I say a few days, but a few weeks, I can talk to you about that. Just, like, you know, trying to get something set up. I'll have to see. Happy that I've got connections in high places with chiropractic mastery under their belt. So what I'm doing right here, guys, is I'm just working on kind of outlining these simple shapes that will communicate what's what. Like this X over here is kind of meant to be a little bit more symbolic of shoelaces. They aren't exactly shoelaces, right? Like not in the kind of traditional form factor, but they're implied to be shoelaces. And that just kind of helps out with expediting my process, the sketch, and all of that fun stuff that comes along with it. So there goes that. Just swooping these in like Nike would. And I'm deliberately making some of these lines thicker so that there's more implied contrast between folds and depth on the boot shoe itself. I'm just going to call this a boot shoe. And so we've got this one section here which really should probably come out just a little bit more like that. We've got this upper ledge that's going to come down. And all of this is going to form this kind of like steel toe situation going on for this boot. Same with that. Bringing that in. And then we're going to wrap this up just by finishing up that contour and connecting it with all of these other ones over here. Just like that. Guys, check that out. We've got a boot. We've got a boot on this guy's person that is the complementary shoe for this other boot that he's kind of presenting and auctioning off. And Devon, dude, this is a small guy, dude. This is a shrimp of a guy. You can kind of take a look and you can see the size of a boot over here and over here in comparison to his actual body frame. And so the reason why is because, you know, this is supposed to be not only a Novo, but for the Trenchtober prompt, this is supposed to be a Dwarf as well. So this is my kind of reimagining of how a Dwarf could look within the world of Animus, as you can see here. And so he's a short guy. He kind of takes on some of those shrimp-like principles that you would imagine. And if we're really talking about like size factors and whatnot, I'm gonna say probably a good 3 feet tall would summarize where this guy kind of stands at. So I'm putting on the price tag for this. Just like that. Gonna seal up some of these gaps over here, just very minor again. So, price tag. We've got the pant detail. Let's see. This boot, just like the price tag, it's going to be hanging on to a nice fastener onto his bag. That huge rucksack he's carrying. Just like this. And so I'm at a pretty good spot. It's almost done, and yet there's still a few things left to complete. And I'll show you what in a second. So he's got his wares, he's got, you know, this boot, he's got another boot, he's got some potions that need to be kind of detailed in a bit. As a matter of fact, let's see what we can do with maybe re-angling this one a little bit. There's a little too much motion on it. So what I'm going to do is erase this orb and just kind of restructure it to where it's not symbolizing as much movement, because this is a more kind of static pose, which means that this is going to probably come down a little bit more like that, come behind the bag. And dude, yeah, I think these boots, how much do these boots go for? I don't know how many credits. Like, these boots are kind of like designer boots. Or they could be bootleg designer boots, who knows? It depends on how many credits you have. What country are you coming from? Are you a local? Are you a tourist? The price will depend based on that. And no worries, man. I know that you're working on stuff. This is just like a quick impromptu stream, so I'm happy to have you on, even if it's for just a few moments to check out what's going on, so no pressure at all. So, guys, I am putting on the detail for this potion. They kind of look like Christmas ornaments in a couple of ways. And again, these are kind of crushable items that when you crush, everything kind of disintegrates in like a natural kind of way. And, they provide various healing properties for you. So that's what we have going on right here. Just pulling that one around like this. Putting on the detail for those contours like so. And check this out. Boom. It's wrapped up right there. We've got another kind of potion captured. I'm going to work on this next one over here. And this can use just a little bit of cleanup around the just proportionality of it, which won't take a lot of work. It's a good thing that this is done in pencil first. And because of that, I can wrap this around and kind of tweak the spherical nature of this, as you can see. And that's done like that. And that's in a good spot, I would say. So at that point, just like the other, I'm going to go ahead and start putting on the line work, the detail over here, and wrapping that up like so, just like this. And this is probably going to be kept, like this image in general. Thinking about keeping this one in black and white, just for the purpose of churning out new content for the next videos coming up. Because there is a kind of production timeline on some of these things. And as much as I would love to put this in color this week, there's a good chance I'm probably going to come back to it at a later time and do that exact thing. So, got that shape. I'm going to put some thickness on this contour over here just to really imply that this is its own separate weight over there. Same thing for this. Curving that around like so. Just like that, wrapping it around. And then those fine details put on like this. Just some very minor cleanup work. And then, yeah, like guys, those are the potions. This is the bag. Got a few more contours to fill out over here, just like that. And we're looking like we're in a good spot for this. Strap is going to come along that way. And then finally, for this character, I think we've got most of the line work totally done. There's his shield over here that still needs to have some, tension put on it, and I'm going to do that right now, actually. We're gonna have this rope that he uses, the character, I mean. And this will kind of keep it in tow with his bag that he's carrying. So we've got that. Let me just make sure that I'm kind of illustrating this in the most appropriate way possible. So we've got that rope that's going to curve up like that. And because it's wrapping from around here, we're going to have some sections that do their own thing like that, and curve around like this. And I want those threads to be just a little bit more visualized in the right way. And for the shield itself, I'm going to keep the line work on this pretty light because I don't want this to compete too much with the bag. And so that's curve around here, just like that. Got that one curve, got another. It's going to slope back down like this. Just going to rotate this for a second, get this cord out of the way. And rotating that, going to pull that down, curve this that way. And this part just takes a bit of concentration. We've got the beginnings of a good shield. Kind of illustrate it right there. I'm going to erase some of these line marks over there, like this. Same for here. I can add just like a few hints of the accents of where the edges kind of begin and end over here. And I can do the same for just kind of, identifying the shape and its contours better in the foreground up here, as we can see. That curves back down like this. Same for that. And we're going to have something that's going to happen right here on this edge, just once more as well. Nothing too verbose in terms of communicating the edges of this, but just enough. And that can be filled in with this pretty easily, as you can see. Just those quick touch-ups around the corner like that. Same thing for this side here. Just like that. And then it's just back to detailing again. Just making it a little bit thicker. Again, fine-tuning the edge over here. Bringing it down. Curving it over. Just like that. And that is a pretty good outline for a shield. I'd say that's probably at like almost a good stopping point. For this rope, I'm going to take it back and kind of bring it to the drawing board a little bit. Thinking about how I will depict this, because guys, I'm going to be honest, I haven't done many ropes before, and this is really more of a method of depicting thread work within something. So there are a lot of threads, that are wrapping around something to create really a couple of knots and a piece of bigger thread, essentially, that's going to keep this all in tow. And that's something that I can probably work on illustrating better. So I think for this stream, I'm going to really call this a wrap, I'm going to say, and come back and probably put on those additional details in a little bit. But for now, this dwarf and the boot and the kind of shrimp aesthetic, this guy is just about done for today's Inktober. So that is almost a wrap, guys. That's going to kind of come to a bang once I put this on the shield back here. So wrapping that up like this, putting on the line work. I'm just going to try zooming a little bit more, getting that in there. We've got that crease. That's where the arm would go. He's got this rope that's kind of keeping that in place for now. And we've got these folds on the adjacent side that are just going to keep it in place too. So we've got that. And what we're missing right now is kind of the just like textured shadow work, the comic shadows as I like to call them. And so the cool thing about this particular composition is that so far a lot of the kind of shadow areas have already been depicted in the thicker and darker lines here, but it can still go a little bit further. And so some work can be done over here like that. I think some work could probably, what areas could this hit? Probably this area over here to a certain extent. Where else? Inside of the boot, right there. And yeah, seeing as this guy's outside in the daytime, you don't need too many shadows, but this should be just enough. I'm actually going to go ahead and reverse the flow where these are coming from and just see. That's not bad. I'm trying to kind of keep a few things consistent with the line work as well. Not that this is always necessary, but for my particular style approach, sometimes I like to have some directional consistency with where shadows or their lines are kind of depicting them to be. So as you can see, just kind of marking some things up over here, making things a little bit darker over here, which is why we've got a few more lines down there. Same thing for this side. This can probably take the opposite hatching approach, like this, and still be okay. And then for this side, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, just really quick, and a few more, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a good stopping point for now. I think that concludes day 3 of Inktober and Trenchtober. We are looking at a dwarf who fulfills the Trenchtober requirement. We're also looking at boots that fulfill the Inktober requirement. Boot number 1, boot number 2. And we've got this all kind of packaged in this nice form of a dwarf within my world building projects universe. So guys, I want to say thank you again for tuning in. Happy that you guys were able to kind of share your eyes on the work that's been going on, and until next time, I guess keep your eyes open for Inktober day number 4, which I think the theme is exotic, I think. But if it is, I've got something in mind and I can't wait to show it to you. It's going to be very different than anything that's going on over here, and I'm very happy to show off what I've got up here and what's going to go on paper down here. So until then, peace out, guys. Have a great lunch break, and yeah, hope to talk to you soon.